Marketing can make every supplement sound essential, but magnesium is not one size fits all. Different forms serve different purposes depending on your specific needs and health context. In this video, we'll examine the evidence behind common types, helping you understand which options may offer real value and which may not justify the cost. Before choosing a magnesium supplement, it is essential to first define your primary health objective. Magnesium is not a one-size-fits-all solution, and its effectiveness can vary significantly depending on the form used and your individual health context. As a fundamental mineral, magnesium plays a critical role in a wide range of biological processes, including cardiovascular function, nervous system regulation, digestion, and metabolic balance. However, different chemical forms vary in absorption, bioavailability, and physiological effects, which may influence how they support specific outcomes in the body over time. For example, certain forms with higher bioavailability are often considered when addressing sleep quality or symptoms related to stress and anxiety. In contrast, other forms may be more appropriate for supporting bowel regularity or contributing to improvements in metabolic markers such as blood pressure and glucose regulation. In some cases, individuals may benefit from combining multiple forms depending on their needs, tolerance, and overall health profile and lifestyle factors. By identifying your primary goal first, you can make a more informed decision and reduce the likelihood of selecting a supplement that does not align with your body's specific requirements or provide meaningful long-term benefits. Building on that foundation of clearly defined goals, it is helpful to examine one of the most widely used forms, magnesium glycinate. This form combines elemental magnesium with the amino acid glycine, a compound involved in protein synthesis and nervous system regulation. One reason magnesium glycinate is often recommended in clinical settings is its relatively high bioavailability. It tends to be well absorbed throughout the intestinal tract, allowing a meaningful proportion to enter circulation and be utilized by the body. Compared with some other forms, it is also less likely to cause gastrointestinal side effects such as diarrhea, which can limit tolerance. In terms of potential benefits, magnesium glycinate is commonly explored in relation to sleep quality, stress regulation, and mood support. Some evidence suggests it may contribute to improvements in these areas, although individual responses can vary. Beyond its role in neurological support, magnesium also participates in broader metabolic processes, including vitamin D activation. Magnesium acts as a cofactor in enzymatic processes involved in vitamin D metabolism. In certain populations, including individuals with higher body weight, adequate magnesium status may be associated with more efficient vitamin D utilization in certain populations, particularly when combined with appropriate supplementation. While magnesium glycinate is often discussed in the context of sleep and mood, another commonly used and more affordable option is magnesium citrate. This form combines magnesium with citric acid, a compound naturally present in citrus fruits such as lemons and limes. In terms of absorption, magnesium citrate is generally well tolerated and efficiently utilized for increasing overall magnesium intake. This characteristic makes it relevant in discussions around metabolic health. Some clinical studies suggest that magnesium supplementation may be associated with modest reductions in blood pressure and improvements in markers of glucose regulation, including hemoglobin A1C, particularly over several weeks of consistent use. These effects may be more noticeable in individuals with existing deficiencies or metabolic risk factors. However, dosage is an important consideration. At moderate levels, magnesium citrate is typically used for general supplementation and metabolic support. At higher doses, it can have a pronounced osmotic effect in the intestines, drawing water into the bowel and promoting laxation. For this reason, it is sometimes used clinically for short-term bowel preparation before certain procedures. Understanding this dual effect can help guide more appropriate use depending on your health goals and individual tolerance. If magnesium citrate feels too stimulating for your digestive system, magnesium malate may be a more suitable alternative. This form combines magnesium with malic acid, a compound naturally found in certain fruits and involved in cellular energy production. Magnesium malate is generally well absorbed and is often noted for its relatively low likelihood of causing laxative effects compared with some other forms. Because of this, it may be better tolerated by individuals who experience gastrointestinal discomfort, including bloating or loose stools, when using other magnesium supplements. This improved tolerability can make it easier to maintain consistent intake over time. Beyond digestive tolerance, magnesium malate has also been explored for its potential role in supporting energy metabolism and reducing fatigue-related symptoms. Some studies have investigated its use in conditions such as fibromyalgia, with mixed but promising findings that suggest a possible benefit in certain individuals. By selecting a form that aligns with your digestive sensitivity, you may be able to maintain more stable magnesium levels without unnecessary discomfort. This highlights the importance of matching the specific form of magnesium to both your health goals and your individual tolerance. Magnesium malate is often considered for individuals with greater digestive sensitivity, but magnesium oxide represents a very different profile. It is one of the most widely available and inexpensive forms, yet it is also known for relatively low absorption within the gastrointestinal tract. Because only a limited amount is absorbed into the bloodstream, magnesium oxide is generally not the preferred option. This is especially true when the goal is correcting a systemic deficiency. However, this same characteristic contributes to its use in a more targeted context. When magnesium remains in the intestines, it can draw water into the bowel, creating an osmotic effect that may support bowel movements. From a clinical perspective, magnesium oxide is sometimes used to support bowel regularity. Some clinical evidence suggests it may support bowel movement frequency, although responses can vary depending on dosage, timing, and individual tolerance. There is also emerging research exploring its potential role in migraine prevention at certain dosages, though findings remain mixed and are not yet definitive or consistently replicated across studies. Overall, this form is typically considered for specific short-term purposes rather than general supplementation or long-term magnesium repletion. Regardless of the form you choose, it is important to consider how magnesium interacts with other essential nutrients, particularly vitamin D. This relationship is often overlooked, yet it plays a key role in how effectively vitamin D functions within the body. Vitamin D obtained from sunlight, food, or supplements initially enters circulation in an inactive form. Before it can be utilized, it must undergo enzymatic conversion into its active metabolites. Magnesium acts as a necessary cofactor in several steps of this process, supporting the enzymes involved in transforming vitamin D into forms that can be measured and used by the body. Because of this interaction, inadequate magnesium status may limit how efficiently vitamin D is activated and utilized. Some clinical studies suggest that combining magnesium with vitamin D may lead to greater improvements in circulating vitamin D levels compared with supplementation alone, particularly in certain populations such as individuals with higher body weight. However, responses can vary depending on baseline nutrient status and overall health. Ensuring sufficient magnesium intake may help support this process, contributing to more effective vitamin D utilization in areas such as bone health, immune function, and long-term physiological balance. Beyond meeting baseline needs for metabolic and nutrient interactions, you may come across a more specialized form known as magnesium L-threonate. This compound is bound to threonic acid, a metabolite of vitamin C, and has attracted attention for its potential ability to cross the blood-brain barrier. Because of this property, magnesium L-threonate has been studied in relation to cognitive function, including memory, attention, and certain aspects of chronic neurological discomfort. However, it is important to interpret these claims with caution. Much of the available research is based on small animal models or limited human trials with relatively few participants, which restricts the strength and generalizability of the findings. In addition, some studies have been supported by industry funding, which may introduce potential bias and warrants careful evaluation of the results. From a practical perspective, magnesium L-threonate tends to be more expensive and provides a lower amount of elemental magnesium compared with more commonly used forms. As a result, it is not typically relied upon as a primary source of magnesium intake. For most individuals, cost, limited evidence, and lower dosage efficiency may reduce its priority in a broader supplementation strategy. Moving beyond oral supplements, some individuals turn to topical approaches such as magnesium sulfate, commonly known as Epsom salt. This compound combines magnesium with sulfate and is most often used in warm baths for muscle relaxation and general comfort. The experience of an Epsom salt bath can feel soothing, particularly after physical exertion or prolonged stress. However, it is important to distinguish between subjective relief and measurable physiological effects. Current evidence remains limited regarding the extent to which magnesium can be absorbed through the skin in quantities sufficient to meaningfully increase systemic magnesium levels. While some small studies and anecdotal reports suggest potential benefits, the overall body of clinical evidence does not yet provide strong support for transdermal magnesium as a reliable method of supplementation. That said, the relaxation response associated with warm bathing, along with potential muscle comfort, may still contribute to overall well-being. If your primary goal is to correct a confirmed magnesium deficiency or significantly support magnesium status, oral supplementation remains the more established and evidence-based approach. Topical methods may serve as a complementary practice, but they should not be relied upon as a primary strategy for restoring internal magnesium levels. Although external methods such as Epsom salt baths may offer relaxation, improving magnesium status typically relies on appropriate oral supplementation. This is also where careful evaluation becomes essential, as supplement labeling can sometimes be misleading. One area of concern involves products marketed as magnesium glycinate. Some formulations labeled this way may not contain a fully chelated compound. Instead, they may include mixtures of glycine with less expensive inorganic forms such as magnesium oxide or magnesium carbonate. These combinations do not necessarily provide the same absorption characteristics associated with properly bound magnesium glycinate. Independent testing and quality reviews have raised concerns about inconsistencies between labeling claims and actual composition in certain products. While not universal, these findings highlight the importance of verifying product quality rather than relying solely on marketing descriptions. Forms that are not fully chelated may be less efficiently absorbed and, in some cases, more likely to cause gastrointestinal discomfort. This can reduce the intended benefits of choosing a more bioavailable form. Taking a more informed approach involves reviewing ingredient details, third-party testing, and manufacturing standards to better ensure that the product aligns with its stated claims and your intended health goals. To help ensure you receive the intended value from a magnesium supplement, it is important to understand the concept of chelation. Chelation refers to a chemical process in which elemental magnesium is bound to an organic molecule, such as glycine, forming a structure that may enhance stability and absorption within the body. This differs from formulations that simply combine separate ingredients without forming a stable bond. In such cases, absorption may be less predictable, and some individuals may experience gastrointestinal discomfort depending on the form and dosage. Choosing a properly chelated product may improve the likelihood that magnesium is absorbed and utilized in physiological processes related to metabolism, neuromuscular function, and cardiovascular health. Developing this level of awareness can help you make more informed decisions when selecting supplements, moving beyond marketing claims toward a clearer understanding of composition and quality. It is also important to note that this information is provided for general educational purposes and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual needs can vary, so consulting a qualified healthcare provider is recommended before starting any new supplementation strategy or adjusting dosage. Thank you for watching. This content is for educational purposes only. If this changed how you think about nutrition, don't forget to like and subscribe for more science-based insights.